Okay, we're gonna get going. We have a little technical difficulty with the audio, but we've got it fixed now. I want to welcome everybody to the Town of Colonial Beach work session, Wednesday, October 5th, 2022. Before I call the meeting to order, I do ask that you silence your cell phone to be respectful to everybody. Everybody up here, silence them, and people in the audience. And with that, I will call the meeting to order at 6:05 p.m. Moving right along, we have a roll call of members. All members are present. I have an addition to the agenda. I need a motion to add closed meeting pursuant to Virginia Code 2.23711A7, consultation with legal counsel pertaining to pending litigation. Where such consultation open meeting would adversely affect the litigation posture of the public body in the pending court case in Westmoreland County Circuit Court. Do I have a motion to add that to the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No, we all want to get that done. Okay, do I have an approval of the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent. All right, council member liaison and commission reports. We'll start with start on the other side with Ms. Clement. How are you?
Good. Night, everyone. First, let me let you know that Colonial Beach Public Schools are fully accredited. Both schools, yay. Both schools earned full accreditation from the Virginia Department of Education for the 2022 and 2023 school year. Congratulations to our students and staff. Well done, Drifters. So the Colonial Beach Public Schools is holding a public surplus auction, which means that any of us can bid on items up for sale. And right now, there are 2 school buses available. A 2001 Thomas-built Freightliner, starting bid is $400, and a 2006 IC-V8, starting bid at $500. Bidding ends tomorrow, October 6th at 6 p.m. So visit the school website for the link to the auction site. So far, I know that our homecoming game is Friday, October 28th at 7 p.m. Stay tuned. Maybe next week I'll know more about the homecoming parade. The school would like us to decorate and, be outside and cheer the team on. So let's keep that in mind. Get your yellow and black ready. Okay. Our school now has an official YouTube channel. We also have a newsletter and a Facebook page. So if you want to support the schools and attend the events, check out the school website. You'll find links to the school's social media accounts and the upcoming sports schedule.
Mr. Rankin, nothing to say? Ms. Robinson?
Yes, I'll do the finance report tonight. A reminder, water and sewer bills were due on October 1st. Penalty and interest begin to accrue at the end of November 1st, by the end of November 1st. Town staff are now involved in the annual audit process. Let's say a little prayer for them. And this is progressing on schedule with the auditors coming on site in 2 weeks with the goal of completion for the council's presentation during the regular meeting in November. I would also like to make a very special report to congratulate the town manager and her staff on securing awards through the town's legislative advocacy efforts and aggressive pursuit of grant funds to help our town begin to resolve our decades-old infrastructure issues related to water, sewer, and road improvements. Since 2021, she and her team have secured over 13.6 million since June of 21. A full update will be given in more details provided during our October regular meeting. Thank you.
All right, You ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Dr.
Thank you.
Sullivan.
As always, our Economic Development Committee and our nonprofit organizations are working very hard. I have printed out copies. There's some at the front and there's some in the lobby for more details and contact information so that I can fly through this report as fast as possible. The Alliance of Colonial Beach Community Organizations in their October meeting are going to have an introduction to Community Heart and Soul, which is a resident-driven process to help the residents come together and solve problems rather than everything coming from the top down. This is a way to get things happening from the bottom up. Judy Pirozzi, who is a certified Community Heart and Soul coach, will be hosting a training session in November. The Guadalupe Free Clinic has moved. They are in their new location in the Food Lion Shopping Center, the old medical center. They continue to be open on Wednesdays and Saturdays from 9 to 2. And because they have twice as much space, they can now have concurrent services. So they need more volunteers, medical personnel, financial screeners, and interpreters. The Virginia Beach Rescue Squad is continuing to recruit volunteers. You can be a full member, making runs. You can be an associate member, or you can be a support member. The Colonial Beach Volunteer Fire Department has their benefit, Chops for Chops, on October the 15th. Their trunk or treat at the high school on October the 29th. And more information can be found on their Facebook page. WWER asks that you send your public service announcements to psa@wwer.org. Please don't do it the day before you need it on the air. It takes them about a week to get that up and on the air. They do need volunteers to be on air and also behind the scenes. So if you want to make your debut into the radio world, they need help recording 2-minute briefs on town meetings and press releases, on developing a membership program, and they're looking for someone that's ready, willing, and interested in learning how to broadcast live from events around town. James Monroe's birthplace, the center is closed. The visitor center is closed for the season, but Bucky continues to do tours on request, and as I'm sure Tom would do also. They are hosting the Colonial Beach Community Foundation Newcomers Meetup on October the 20th, and they're planning a candlelight Christmas open house December 17th from 5 to 8 with refreshments. The Village continues to have game days on the second Thursday of each month and lunches on the fourth Thursday. The Community Foundation did give away $5,000 from their their 6-month-long fundraiser, and the excess of what they made over the $5,000 that they gave away is going to a fund to eventually hire a part-time executive director. Their 4th annual Northern Neck Beach Music Festival had over 400 people, and the proceeds are approaching $30,000. Those funds will be available in a grants program that address safety and well-being next year. The October meetup again will be at James Monroe's birthplace. The Candidates Forum was held last month and it was well received. It was broadcast live on the radio and on the YouTube, and you can still watch those YouTube recordings if you haven't decided who to vote for. They are on the town's YouTube site. The foundation is a platinum sponsor for the Alzheimer's Walk, and their local vocals karaoke concert at the Riverboat raised over $2,700 to benefit the community center. BAM, the Chamber of Commerce, and the schools are going to host their Career Expo on Wednesday, October 2nd at 7 p.m. at the high school. We have all of the civics groups listed on this handout. I didn't report anything special going on, but they've always got great activities going on. Let's see. Don't forget the 11th annual Dog Day to benefit the Colonial Beach Humane Society and Colonial Beach River Dogs at the Colonial Beach Yacht Center next to Dockside on October 15th. The Historical Society, I believe that their visitor center and museum are closed for the season, but they do continue to have their Memories of Colonial Beach meetup. The next one is Saturday, October 15th at Hunan Diner with the theme of school days with a special speaker, Coach Swope. The Artist Guild has their second Friday art walk on the 14th. Downtown Colonial Beach is developing transformational strategies that are being reviewed by the Virginia Main Street Liaison as they continue to work for Main Street designation. Their design committee chair, Dr. Stewart, has created a list of potentially and currently available commercial buildings that can be rented for new businesses. And they hope to hear from the Community Business Launch Grant Awards soon. Colonial Beach Chamber of Commerce would like to remind you, if you haven't noticed, that Bike Fest starts tomorrow. It's October 6th through the 9th with the Alzheimer's Walk on Saturday the 8th. Then on October 22nd, they're hosting the Fall Festival and Halloween Golf Cart Parade. And they wanted to let you know that the Arts and Crafts Show was an extreme success with over 60 vendors along the boardwalk. Our Economic Development Committee, with our staff liaison, Kelly Evco, and Mike Fitzpatrick, who is chair of the committee for the chamber. They are involved with that Career Expo, and they're expecting to have 15 to 20 businesses, schools, governments, and military representatives participating and talking to the students and their parents on November the 2nd. The Economic Development Committee is helping with the Community Heart and Soul program. They are also would like you to know that they are supportive of the food court application by Alan and Elizabeth Griffey to be located on private property on Washington Avenue, and also supportive of the new massage business. They are working with King George to apply for a Go Virginia grant. For the first time, the town of Colonial Beach was represented at the Virginia Economic Development Association State Conference. The Ms. Evco has, and Mike and other people have hosted visitors from Go Virginia, Virginia Tourism Corporation, the Gateway Region, Fredericksburg Regional Alliance, and Main Street leaders. People are waking up to the fact that Colonial Beach is an up-and-coming leader as far as small towns in Virginia. A reminder that the Economic Development Office is available to meet with prospective businesses in town, and we and request that if you have a new business or you know somebody that's coming to the business, make sure they get connected with Kelly so that she can help ease you through the procedure of opening that new business. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Williams.
Tough act to follow there, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
At least he puts it all on the sheet. We can follow along on
Exactly.
pick it up in the back if you didn't get all that.
Good afternoon, everybody. Just a few updates for Public Works. They worked busily this past weekend, obviously with the storm. They had to prepare for that and then just continue to monitor it through the weekend, just to make sure everything was good. There also, there was supposed to be a meeting last week about the paving, and so that was rescheduled. So I guess we'll hear more about that in the coming weeks as far as what's going to be paved for the fall season, including hopefully the bike path or the golf cart path there. They had a meeting with the vendor about the solar lights for the golf cart path, and so that'll be good to see what happens with that. They also discussed some of the phase development plans with the Dotson Development Group. They hung as you can see, the hometown banners. And let's see, what else did they do? They had meetings with Dominion regarding the holiday lights. As everybody knows, Public Works puts those up for us. And so we'll be seeing those out probably, I don't know, a month or so. I'm not sure. I can't remember when they put those out, after Thanksgiving, I guess.
The weekend after Thanksgiving.
Okay, so we'll be seeing those. See, and they also did the 100% plans and the contract documents for the central drainage area project and have been received and are being reviewed. So that hopefully will be coming along soon here. And let's see, they also did some follow-ups with the contractors about the pier. I saw them route raking the beaches this weekend, so they're getting ready, I guess, for that. And then also the Bike Fest is coming up, so they had to do a lot of preparation, I'm assuming, for that. So good stuff. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Allison?
It won't be as long as Karen, but I do have a lot.
Ready.
All right. So to piggyback off of what Andrea said with the football schedule, we have a football game this Friday night. Friday Night Lights. Please show up. Wear your black and gold. Treat the kids on. Come see me, and I'll feed you. But you got to pay for it. Parks and Rec. We have a fall door decor contest. Deadline for that is October 24th. If you have any questions or you want to submit your address for that, please do that to Mr. Duke at rduke@colonybeachva.gov. Movie night will be October 22nd at 7 p.m. at the community center. They'll be playing The Breakfast Club. There is a pop-up tennis on October 8th at 10:30 a.m. at Torrey Smith. This is for intermediate and advanced players. For the Planning Commission, will discuss the mobile vendor and mobile vendor carts at a future meeting, which will discuss which districts and implementation of those, but that'll be at their following meetings. They're also putting together information for the master plan. We had asked them for justification and scope. Mr. Howe should be providing that to us so we can make a determination on that. Their upcoming items will be the signage flutter flags that we passed to them at our prior meeting. And the next meeting will be held on October 18th. And there will not be one on October 27th because they're going to hold this one. And during that meeting, they are going to conduct a public hearing on the CUP 0422, which I believe is for the massage parlor, massage, whatever it's the actual designation of that is. And go ahead. And the definitions for Article 20. Aside from that, I attended VML on Sunday and Monday. A lot of great information. We met a lot of people. Sorry, it's a habit for work.
Okay.
Um,
I just felt like you were yelling at me the whole time. You're good.
Okay. Met a lot of great people there from all over the state. A lot of information was given. It's kind of like the typical thing, you know, it's fire hose, and they give you as much information as you can take. A lot of the information that I went to was in direct help for my liaison efforts. So it's going to be for the Planning Commission and for Parks and Rec. I attended the when local government should bring in outside experts, particularly for like the parks and those kind of things to try to understand, you know, when should the staff do it and when should we get professionals to help us. The next one was the state of short-term rentals, which that certainly is a hot topic for the Planning Commission. So I have a lot of good information to bring back for that, as well as staff and the town manager. The other strategies for local governments to maintain ADA compliance, certainly helpful in terms of our parks and also sidewalks and other information like that. And that's about all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you guys plan the color scheme over here? Yeah, no? Okay.
The national cup.
I like it. All right. I also have a lot to update. First off, I want to echo David's kudos to Public Works for putting the banners up and Town Center. Please take a moment and look around. These banners were sponsored by family members or other caring people that wanted to recognize people they knew that were in service here in our community, and they will be hung next season. There was a lot of COVID delays, supply delays, then the vendor went on vacation. Anyway, it's very frustrating how much longer it took, but I'm glad that we have them. We're still waiting on hardware, which is why we said, let's just go ahead and hang them up here. And I'm just glad to share them with everyone. And so please take a moment and look around the room. Also, I wanted to thank everyone that attended, prepared, and participated in our town council retreat. That was last week. It seems like a month ago. There's been so much that's happened in that amount of time. It was facilitated by Charles Hargrove, who's from the Weldon Cooper Center at UVA, And we all learned a little bit more about ourselves, I think, and about this thing that is a team effort, really, in democracy. We did a Clifton Strength Finders test and found that we are very strong as a collective group in strategic planning and execution, which was, I think, something positive for our community. And also collaborated on some of the items that will be going up in our legislative agenda as Richmond goes back in session this fall. I took a school bus ride with Dr. Mitchell. It was so much fun. Have you ridden a school bus lately? No, right? Me neither. I had a blast. The kids were just the cutest thing ever. And I did the Classic Shores Run, which is the number streets, because the point was really to also see hands-on those school buses interacting with the kids that walk, the walker, I call them walkers. And how the bus is navigating with the kids in the street and walking home and stuff like that. Anyway, so it was about public safety, but it was also just a really fabulous time. And I just was so excited to see so many of my, I would say friends over there at the school system. I mean, kids, they just all were super excited about it. It was a really nice time. I also attended VML with Dr. Sullivan and Mr. Allison. Like Mr. Allison said, it always is like drinking from a fire hose. Topics of learning included enhancing civility at public meetings, the state of our economy by the Federal Reserve, a presentation from the Attorney General's office, information about what risk orders are, NLC grant database, which I signed JC up for. Anyway, so if he gets a registration email for that, I have a flyer to give him. Short-term rentals, which I attended also with Mr. Allison, tech and innovation. It was just comprehensively phenomenal, as it always is. I want to say I'm excited for Bike Fest this weekend. I can see everybody else is excited for Bike Fest too, because you're not here. So, no, thank you for the people who did come. I think there are a lot of people gearing up for Bike Fest right now, and that is exciting. I will be speaking along with Congressman Whitman after the Freedom Ride arrives in Colonial Beach from Quantico on Friday. And then I just want to remind people about the Alzheimer's Walk Saturday morning. I also want to remind people that we are starting the next section of historic surveying in town, and we have a coordination meeting tomorrow at 6:00, which is engaged with Downtown Colonial Beach and the Historical Society. All right. Next up, presentations. Ms. Shamlin? Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome.
Hi, so my name is Brooke Shamblin. I'm the new Community Enhancement Officer. And I want to apologize for my back. I kind of have to leave. Sorry about that. Just a moment for the presentation. Go ahead to the next slide. For a very brief summary, I'm going to show a basic code enforcement report, and then how I've been assisting with condensing and organizing our documents. Furthermore, how I've been assisting with defining, organizing, and overall making information more accessible with our issuing our permits. For the basic report, we have 28 completely closed cases, and for initial inspections at 32, addressed with a first notice at 21, the next date for reinspection starting on October 10th, 7, and then 14 subsequently. And then for numbers outstanding, we're currently sitting at 0. Example of these complaints include everything starting from overgrown grass to parking on public sidewalks, and then general zoning violations. These include cutting down trees or extending driveways without the permits permitted. And then as for our documentation efforts, The main focus for this is to better enhance, the better categorize information and to better make it so that information can be given easily between departments. Good. Different ways we're also improving our information is trying to make information regarding permits more accessible. The way it stands now, permits aren't easily accessible through online. You pretty much have to come in person, ask how the process is done. We want to not only make it accessible online, but make it to where you can easily follow a chart or a roadmap showing this is the different sort of permits that we have, how to fill out the applications, what you need for those applications, how much it will cost, and an approximate time for the completion of that application. And then also below are documents that we've already created, mostly for tracking, but also so that applicants can reference them so they know the next steps coming up. And then here, this is a very brief example of the roadmap that we want to create. In the end, they'll most likely be far more complex. This is very abbreviated. It only shows a few of the different applications that we have. But this at least gives you somewhat of a glance of what we want it to look like. And that's it. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions? All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Sandlin. You don't have to run out.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
could our town manager explain, this is a new title, Community Enhancement Officer, and it replaced an old title. Could you just update the community on what that is?
Yes, the new rebranded Community Enhancement Officer takes the place of our old Code Enforcement Officer. As you look at the position, kind of nationally at this point, some localities are moving away from code enforcement because it has more of an alignment with policing, while in the planning world, we're really focusing on beautification efforts and enhancing community. So the reasoning behind switching the name of that position was from a recruitment perspective, but also to enhance our focus on overall community enhancement. You're welcome. And I'd also like to commend Brooke on her efforts. In 3 months, she's helped to close almost 30 violations. So really thankful for her work.
I feel like it's been even less than 3 months.
Yeah, if I could add to that, she has really done, and I'm sorry she left.
I think she was nervous.
She's kind of shy. so-
Please let her know she did a very good job for.
Yeah, she's kind of shy, but she has
putting that
really,
position.
in addition to tackling those violations, as you could see, she has really learned very quickly and that's because she's smart, but about the processes, and she's trying to help us organize that, things that, like Kaylin, for example, doesn't have time to tackle because she's helping people, right? So to organize that process, so she's really embraced that quickly, and then also just organizing and really purging some of the really old files that we have that we don't need, and we have confirmed, or she's confirming with Heather, that they can be purged. But in an effort to really organize, and I know we're overusing that word, but to organize the information that we have so that it is useful and helpful to staff and available for citizens, and readily available, so that where we know where it is, that kind of thing. So she's really, and that's not the glamorous stuff, that's the mundane, tedious stuff, but she has really dived right in, and I am grateful.
Yeah, I think it doesn't even seem like she's been there 3 months. I mean, a lot in a very short amount of time. Pass on to her that we're grateful that for her to come up and present to us as well. All right, citizen input. Do I have anybody signed up?
Just Mr. Kelly's by email.
Got it?
Yep. So I'll read it into record. It says, "Dear Mayor Schick and council members, I'm writing to you to request that any action on the personal property tax relief and vehicle fees decals rebate be delayed until a comprehensive parking program can be presented and adopted by the town council. The first sentence of the staff's analysis background states, and the only one locality that connects license fees with parking passes. Most residents associate the town decals with parking and not personal property taxes. The decal program works for residents to know that they can park for free in town, and it's easy for parking enforcement by the police department. Please don't change this program until a new parking program is adopted. Also, can you please confirm to the public who the point person is and the timetable for developing a new parking program for the town? Citizen input, and especially input from the Chamber of Commerce, is critical to developing a meaningful and fair parking program. I'm available at any time to discuss this issue further. Thank you, Joe Kelly.
Is there anybody else? Anybody? All right, going once, yeah, going twice. All right, moving on to old business, personal property tax relief and vehicle license fees, decals. Mr. Schaefer.
All right, so first part of this is going to be the personal property tax relief, and the second part of this presentation is going to be town decals / vehicle license fees. So the purpose of this is really, the first purpose of this is to alleviate, for the PPTRAs, to alleviate a lot of the tax burden because of the increased assessment values from Westmoreland County. The way the town can help with this is really the only thing that we found was by contributing local funds into the PPTRA. The decal is going to be eliminating our current decal system and charging those license fees on personal property bills, which will increase collections and alleviate burden on those citizens.
When you say, I just want to stop for a second because of Mr. Kelly's public comment input. We're not, we are eliminating the physical sticker, but not eliminating the parking complement that comes with the vehicle. I mean, that's what's you're proposing.
Yes, that's correct.
So when you say eliminating the decal, I think sometimes that's how Mr. Kelly.
We're just eliminating the
does that.
physical decal.
Okay, just wanted to
That's all we're looking
clarify,
to do.
the perk of free parking is not being proposed.
No, ma'am.
Great. All right, keep going. Sorry to interrupt.
Town council had requested staff look into changes regarding the vehicle decal / license fees. Staff has researched the options regarding additional personal property tax relief, town contributions, and options are being brought before council tonight and looking for action taken by council. Because personal property billing is needing to go out. So we're already a little bit behind the 8 ball. So for the personal property tax relief, what we did was we ran 4 different options regarding town funds being added to the personal property tax amount. And I didn't put it in this slideshow, but the state contributes a set amount of money to us every year of $240,000. I think it's like $716.55. We also then take that amount and add back in any abatements from the previous year that the vehicles that had received PPTRA that were abated by Westmoreland County because they weren't in town January 1, or they were located in another locality. Those funds have to be added back in because technically those funds are due to our citizens. So you take those 2 numbers and add them together, and then you come up with your total PPTRA amount to be given out to the town. So option 1 is basically the town contributing $146,424.47. And the main thing to really understand about this is the PPTRA only gets applied to the first $20,000 of assessment for any vehicle. So if your vehicle is valued at $20,000 or let's say $25,000, you get PPTRA on the first $20,000, and then the next $5,000 is billed at the full tax rate. Option 2 would be the town contributing $140,000. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed the next line. Sorry about that. If the town were to contribute $146,000, it would basically pay 46% of people's personal property tax of vehicles assessed at $20,000. Option 2 would be for the town to contribute $100,240.52. This would make the town PPTRA rate 40.5%. Option 3 would be for the town to contribute $75,049.33, making the PPTRA rate 37.5%. Then if the town were to do nothing and leave everything the way it was, the town would contribute $2.78, and that is just so we can get to an actual percentage number to be used for billing. And that would make the PPTRA rate 28.563%. So as you see, there's quite a bit of difference between the town contributing $146,000 versus $2.78. The next slide is really just a breakdown of the previous slide, just an easier way to look at it. Same options. There's 4 options basically. Now on to the decal system. So currently the town uses parking or town decals / vehicle license fees as parking decals. According to staff, we may be and I couldn't find anyone else. We may be the only locality in Virginia that uses the vehicle license fee as a parking decal. No other locality does that. The vehicle license fee is just that, a vehicle license fee. Has nothing to do with parking. The current system has really created an undue burden onto town residents, especially with COVID and everything, because it makes them come into the office and present a registration for a vehicle, showing that the vehicle is registered in Colonial Beach, and then purchasing a $30 decal. With this proposed change, it kind of alleviates people coming into town hall to get that quote unquote parking decal. There are several different types of decals available. There's antique vehicles, which are required to have a vehicle license fee or a decal. Then trailers. And then motorcycles. And then regular passenger vehicles. And the big thing to note here is, for example, we get a personal property book. So we'll get our 2021 book, and the next year we build decals will be 2022. So we use those numbers. So for example, in 2021, our personal property book said we had 3,077 vehicles that were supposed to get vehicle license fees. We had 1,257 purchased. So there's a big difference. There's also the resident decal. It's $100 if you own property in town, but you don't actually have vehicles registered in town. Town manager's office and the CFO's office is still coming up with a alternative to see how that can still be handled. Because the goal I think is to get rid of any physical decal, period. So, but I believe they still want to offer that availability of, if you own property in town, you can still park for a set cost instead of having to pay every time you go down.
And golf carts would still get a physical sticker.
That's the next slide.
Okay, sorry. All right.
So the proposed changes is to get rid of the physical decal, put the license fees on the personal property bill. And the thing I want to stress the most is this is going to be technically a decal or vehicle license rebate for FY23, because we're not going to charge the vehicle license fees for FY23. And that is just to get those fees on the personal property bill. And that's a loss of about $70,000, or a rebate of about $70,000 to our residents. then the other option you guys have is to make no changes.
The golf cart?
Sorry, the golf cart system has to remain in place. And that is a state code. And they really use that decal to prove that a golf cart has been inspected and is safe to travel on town roads. And that's governed by the state. And I have the state code on there if you'd like to look it up. That's really it. And I'll be happy to answer any questions I can.
I will open it up for discussion.
So when we pay our vehicle license fee, which is billed on our personal property taxes, our license plate number will go into a system so that we get to park for free as residents who have registered our cars in town, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And
that
that
is
the
goal.
police will then use the license plate number to determine whether or not we should have paid a meter.
Yes, and that will come down to, I believe, have a lot to do with the license plate scanner. And you'll be able to, the police will be able to scan that license plate and see if it's in the system.
So I was just doing some quick calculations and it looked like to me that we are not collecting about $54,000 a year based on last year's numbers because people that should have come in and gotten their decal for their vehicle license fee didn't.
It's actually a little bit more just because, for example, and I didn't put it in the slideshow, but for example, we had 478 registered trailers, 42 purchased. So it's actually a little bit more than your calculations. Your calculations are just off of the regular decal, which I understand, but there are other vehicles that are supposed to get decals that currently don't.
And I believe a lot of other localities used to have county stickers, town stickers, whatever, but they have over the years done away with them. I think the city of Fredericksburg still has an optional one.
They
Like
do.
if you commute, you have to have one to park in the commuter lot there at the train station for other monitoring reasons. So we would still have ours for the golf carts,
Yes,
but there would be no need to have decals for other purposes.
that is correct. We're one of a handful of localities in the Commonwealth that still actually have a physical decal. And I know none of you guys are on council, but I've been trying to do this for 15 years because we're just not collecting the money that we could.
Thank you.
Ms. Williams?
It's, first off, I want to thank you for, First off, I want to thank you. I know I brought this up a few weeks ago about possibly getting the residents some kind of tax relief because of the high increase in personal property. So I appreciate you bringing this to us. One of the questions is, you said that the option 1 or A was 140,000.
146,000.
And so that's the estimated amount we collected over what we budgeted for the personal property tax?
Yes.
For the year? Okay. And so, and you're saying that we couldn't change the rate, which is what I originally asked, but we can actually put that into the relief, I guess, whatever you call it.
Yes.
And so it still is a way to get it back to the taxpayer without having to issue rebates or.
It
refunds.
is.
Okay, great.
Once the tax rate has been adopted, you can't change it. You can only add local funds to that tax relief, which will then in turn lower customers' bills.
Okay. And the sticker thing, so if we get rid of the sticker and we add the fee to the tax bill, actually the town I previously lived in, they did that.
Mhm.
They got rid of the sticker. And so, but I think the thing here that I'm not sure if this has ever been factored in, but a resident brought it up to me today, is that the way our town, we have a lot of people from other, summer homes and different things. And so it's hard to identify necessarily who's paying their personal property tax and who's not. Will this be factored in? Like, how will you tell?
So really what this will give us the option to do is if, let's say, I don't purchase my decal, there's nothing that the town can do about that really, besides if the police going out and actually telling them they have to do that, which the police did used to do.
Mhm.
What us putting it on the personal property would do was give us the availability to, if I just say I didn't pay my decal fee, it would give the town the option to place a DMV stop, and then they wouldn't be able to re-register their vehicles, therefore causing them to come in and actually pay their decal fees.
Okay, that's good. Just one suggestion is maybe we get rid of the requirement, but I don't know, we haven't decided on the parking, the scanner yet, for the enforcement scanner, or whatever we call it, the $36,000 purchase. So would it be an option if we didn't get that scanner to issue stickers to people who wanted them, if they wanted to come in for the parking piece of it, but not necessarily require everybody to get them?
That would be an option, but it would be very, very difficult to manage.
Okay. All right, that was all I got, and I just wanted to speak in favor of the rebate for the, or the lowering the rate for the taxpayers to give them the relief. Thank you.
Anybody over here? Okay.
What is staff's recommendation on this?
Staff doesn't, as far as I believe, staff doesn't have a recommendation. Staff was looking for council's.
They do recommend the elimination of the sticker, decal sticker.
Yes, I'm sorry, I thought she was talking about the PPTRA.
I want to really try to make that clear, because I think after this meeting, we could have a lot of confusion about when the word eliminate and the word decal are in the same sentence. So-
What we would be doing is eliminating the town decal, but
The sticker.
keeping the license fee.
I know, but people associate
I-
the word
they
decal
do.
with the free parking
They do.
and not necessarily with the actual sticker. So I know, I just want to make sure I think it's clear here and everything. And when we post, then, we're going to have to let people know about this. That's what I'm really talking about, that communication is, yeah.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept option A to refund the money to the taxpayers.
Which,
Second.
Okay, option one on both.
With the decals, I'd like to keep that as a separate item,
Okay, so
since that's not as critical to, we have time to decide on that.
no, I don't think so, because it has to be on this physical bill.
Well,
We can take them up separately, though.
okay,
That's fine.
let's take them up.
All right, let's take them up separately. So first up is option one is a motion right now and has been seconded for the personal property tax relief, the PPTRA option. Is there any further discussion on that?
So I have a question, but it's really for both because it is part of that relief.
Sure, go ahead.
I thought Adam said that the $30 fee would not be on their personal property tax this time, correct?
so the fee wouldn't be on their bill this time. In FY '23, they would get in December or November of '23, they would get a quote unquote prorated amount, because people who purchase decals like they're supposed to, the decal that I currently have on my vehicle runs from April of 2022 to March of 2023.
So my question is, will they still need to purchase a decal next year in April?
No.
Okay.
The fee would be on their bill.
Understood.
In December of the following year.
2023.
In December of
Basically
2023.
absolving, and this is not really what the motion on the floor is.
Understood, but it was connected because.
It is connected, that we would be absolving an entire year of vehicle licensing fees. And that's also one of the aspects of relief.
Correct.
That we would then be
Correct.
giving to.
It's also, the total relief would be around $70,000.
Right, so we're also giving it what, in that other part of it. But yeah, they're tied together.
So they would be saving the potential 146 plus not spending the $30 next year per car for
Correct.
each of their things.
Correct,
And then it would be on December 2023 bill for the following year of 2024.
correct.
And just so you know, that charge on the 2023 bill would be a prorated amount.
Understood. Just trying to.
Yeah.
level set the cost of making sure people don't get hit. Making sure people don't get, the tax rebate of whatever's decided. And then plus now they're getting the $30 per car. So it doesn't look like they're saving any money. So I'm just trying to make sure we are on level playing field here.
Yes.
That makes sense. Okay. Any further discussion? All right, I'm gonna take a roll call vote on option one. I'll start down here since the motion and second came from this side. Dr. Sullivan?
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Allison?
Aye.
All right, Ms. Clement?
Aye.
All right, Mr. Moncur?
Aye.
And Ms. Robertson?
Aye.
I enthusiastically say yes to this. Aye, yay, thank you. They know because God bless VML for bringing back so much information for me. I'm so happy for you all that had to take my phone calls during this process. Thank you. All right, now we're on to the decal system.
Mhm.
Okay, so do I have a motion for option one on the decal system?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, now let's open that for discussion since it's now its own unique motion.
So my question is going to be, what is the impact of us removing the decal and we not have the police scanner?
The current system is a pay-by-plate system. So without the scanner, they still enter the license into their scene to make sure they pay for their parking. So that, we don't need to have that scanner. It'll just make their job easier. They still now have to enter in the license plate number to see if they've paid. So when they pay your personal property, so we put your license plate into the system saying that you have paid for parking, and that would stay there. So there wouldn't be any need to have that decal anymore. Your license plate is in the system now as a paid resident, and it can be identified by the police as soon as they put your tag in.
Can I have a follow-up to that? Chief, what is the impact of your police force of having to handle that individually? Because we do not have the cheat sheet of the decal. Sorry.
Without having the license plate reader, individual would have to enter every tag that's in water lot in the summer, which could be 200 vehicles at a time in one lot. With the license plate reader, they would drive by and know instantaneously if it was in the system or not. So I can't quantify what the personnel hours would be to do that. You figure 3 minutes to manually enter that and check it for 200 vehicles. That's going to take some time. And that's just one parking area throughout the town that has to be checked.
Dr. Sullivan?
Yeah, something that you said it would make it easier. I would argue that it would make it more efficient and give our officers that are enforcing parking the ability to cover a larger area in the same amount of time. Whereas if they had to enter everything by hand, they might get one section of the beach during their hours and not another.
I just have a point of clarification. You're talking about the scanner, not about this motion.
Right,
Okay,
you're right.
all right, just wanted to understand. Peanut gallery over here, yeah, all right. Mr. Moncur?
Who's going to take responsibility for conforming the ordinance to this practice?
Are we working on the parking ordinance right now?
You've got it?
You got it.
Okay. Let the record reflect that the mayor has undertaken to conform the ordinance to practice.
I can't wait. I'll bring it in November. Is that enough time for you?
It's time for next spring.
All right.
I got a question for
Yes,
the
Mr. Williams.
chief. What's the fail rate on when you plug in a number? Like, how many people get a ticket who are registered, have their vehicles registered in town?
I'm not aware of any.
Okay, so it's pretty foolproof then? Is what
Well,
system you have
currently,
now, or even
The system we have now, the individual does not enter the tags if they have the town sticker located on the vehicle. It's only the vehicles that do not have a town sticker located. They check to see if they've paid. With the new system, there will be no decal sticker on the vehicle, so every tag will have to be manually entered on our handhelds that we currently have in lieu of a license plate reader.
But you have so when I go in and get my sticker or not, you have my license plate number, so when you plug it in, the system already knows that I'm a registered, I've paid my.
If we go to this
sticker.
new system, yes, that information will be uploaded from finance to
Okay,
our vendor.
all right,
So it will be displayed in the system as paid.
thank you. Oh, one more question. Has anybody polled the public to see how they feel about the stickers? I wonder if people are gonna, mean,
I
I've
don't
been here
think we
4
need
years,
to, after the last run of decals, when we tried to give them out, and we
Do
had
you
a lot of
remember
angry
that?
I'm a
residents.
little worried that when
We had a lot of angry residents about the decals.
we make this decision.
That's when we
about-
decided we had to do away with them, because a lot of people were really angry about our decision about still having to stick them in the front or the back on the side. It was terrible.
I'd like to recall Mike Cabry's words. We are a representative government, and we don't poll all the residents on every decision we make.
So we send them to you if they're all.
We-
Absolutely, send them to me.
I like Williams.
I think we already told them the last time we gave out the decals.
Well, yes, Mr. Moncur.
I don't think we're going to be besieged by masses walking in here wanting to retain their decals.
Can I just keep one for a memento, though?
Well, you're still gonna have to get one every year for your golf cart.
Thank you. You're right about that.
Madam
Yeah.
Mayor,
Yes.
one more clarification on the decal. By removing this and putting it on the tax bill, we are going to gain an excess of $70,000+ in revenue per year following this effort, correct? 54-ish from the vehicles, plus you said trailers, motorcycles,
I would
AT
be
cars.
safe to say we're gonna get around $70,000 extra.
Per
At
year.
100, and I wanna be clear, at 100% collection rate,
Correct.
which we all know is not possible. Our personal property collection rate currently is about 88%.
Correct. Yes, Mr. Williams.
Oh, I thought it was like 78. Didn't somebody say it was like 78%?
It was 78 and it's gone up.
As of December 5th,
Okay.
when it was due after the due date. The extra 10% came in after when people had to get their decals and they had to pay the personal property to get them.
Now, this would alleviate them having to come in and get the decal, which would cause town staff to place more DMV stops.
We'd have more enforcement to get them to pay their personal property.
Because right now, our only enforcement is the town decal.
Okay, I want to talk about two things that real quick. One is that our collection rate of personal property taxes is significantly lower than the county. And that is because we have this honestly antiquated system. When you say you've been trying to change this for 15 years,
I have
because
been.
you've been working within the finance department for that long, that's because you've recognized that it is extremely laborsome within the finance department. I can't tell you how much time each one of you has to spend on something that's $30. And then number two, it's because of the authority that you have with the DMV stop. That's just why the county is collecting personal property taxes at a 97 or 98% rate, and we are not. So just, think that point is important to make. But also, I've had residents, and I don't know about you all, but I've had several residents who are upset that their neighbors are not paying for stickers and they are. And that is not fair to them.
Now, this will not alleviate people who do not have vehicles registered correctly.
I understand that.
Okay.
But there are also people who do have their vehicles
There are.
registered here and that are not paying their licensing fee.
You
And the
can obviously
reality
see by the
is-
numbers, there are lots.
And ultimately, that is then on the backs of the people who do pay, who are abiding by the law.
Mhm.
And so in an equitable situation, a fair world, everybody should be following the law to pay a licensing fee, which they have to in the county because it's automatically billed. So anyway, I just kind of want to make that point because there are some citizens who have reached out in the sense of It's not fair. It's not fair that my neighbor has 5 cars and they're not getting them, you know?
They come into the finance office every year and complain about it.
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do. It's probably the same people that email me. I don't know. Actually, these are people that come and say it to my face, so not the email. Anyway. Okay, so I have a motion on the floor. I have a second for it. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, I'm gonna start on this side this time. Ms. Clement?
Yes.
Okay.
Aye.
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 Aye. 15 years later, Adam, there you go.
Thank you all.
Celebrate, Adam.
I am.
No, we don't do that this year. Yeah. Well, and that's just the way, it's weird.
Madam Mayor, members of council,
Yes.
thank you for giving me a few minutes to speak to you. Well, thank India and JC for their help on getting this squared away. Diane as well. She's been a little busy with hurricane prep and survival. Next slide, please. Briefly, you folks wanted to bring back the idea of a Northside Park. We've spoken about it a few times. Obviously, council has requested a discussion tonight. In the past couple of years, I've spoken about the need for a park on the north side for the folks up there. We had identified, excuse me, a parcel at the corner of Stratford Street and Azalea Road. That's a town-owned piece of property, obviously. We've all were on the tour about 9 months ago, and I think all of us were present for that. And then obviously a group of citizens that live in that area submitted a petition in support of this potential park, in addition to the fact that our Parks and Rec Advisory Commission had endorsed the idea of a park on the north side before. A gentle rejoinder that you folks had adopted completion of a parks master plan, a strategic action plan for completion by July of next year. However, that funding was eliminated during this previous budget process. Next slide, please. So again, just as a reminder to us all, the park on the north side of town was discussed at a retreat about 10, 11 months ago about we were seeking grant money for the linear park. The north side park at that point had not been approved by council. And then I don't have to read it verbatim for you, but the estimated cost of developing a park on the north side was between $100,000 and $150,000. And the consensus of you folks at that time was to address this project in 2023. Next slide, please. And I'm going to throw JC under the bus, and I've got his permission to do this because on the left, we've just identified a GIS picture where the actual proposed Northside Park would be located. On the right is a rendering that JC did when we were submitting some grants several months ago in getting some money to small dollar amount to try and kickstart at least the initial process of paying for maybe a site plan, some engineering, just to see how that would work. But again, and again, JC gave me the go ahead to make fun of him, but that was his rendering that he had to do. So in the comments that I'm going to make later in the presentation, you'll see why I'm emphasizing, that particular picture of the rendering there. Next slide, please. So again, the issue is council has requested discussion on Northside Park. Council has not directed the town manager to execute the project, and no funds have been allocated. No plans currently exist for the park, and planning and design should be executed by a professional consultant. Grant funding was pursued as requested by council, and those efforts were unsuccessful due to lack of plans, cost estimates, and designs. So as much as I love JC to death, that rendering he did probably wasn't what a professional would be able to provide to us as we move forward. Next slide. Fiscal impact, the cost of Northside Park would be best determined by a professional consultant. Once plans are developed, grants could be pursued for the Northside Park, and the cost of the actual parks master plan would be under $30,000. So staff recommends that council approve the execution of the parks master plan, which would include public outreach and park planning for the Northside Park first, and then obviously identifying funding sources in the upcoming CIP budget process for the actual construction of Northside Park. That's it. Any questions?
Yes.
So it's my understanding that after talking to JC, that it is going to be difficult to get funding to help with this park because we don't have kind of a master overall plan for parks here in the town. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, and specific to the Northside Park, the grants that we have pursued and have all asked for shovel-ready plans, for example, budgeted timeline items that we can point to. In a perfect world, we would just be able to say, hey, we desperately need this money and could use the help. But that's not how it works. So yes, a consultant would be able to provide much more accurate information as we move along in this process. So it does make it difficult when you're applying for grants for these types of projects.
And do we have, this is for town manager and finance, is there money available to do that for that less than $30,000 to do a parks master plan?
Yes, we can identify some funding to bring back for a future item if that's a council direction.
So I would move that council request that a council approve the expenditure of $30,000 or less for a parks master plan.
I'm not approving an expenditure tonight, but just the direction to bring back.
I'm sorry, I made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
I understood, India, that you said you were identify funding and come back to us. So
I was trying, my point was to amend the motion, in the sense that without the, allocation of funding, we're not approving the funding until we have the finance report about where the funding would be coming from.
Correct, we could bring that back at the regular meeting, but we could also identify that tonight if that's something council would like to do.
I personally would like to discuss it tonight and bring it back to a regular meeting, just so citizens have a chance to maybe give some input, but I'm definitely in favor. One thing I wanted to mention, it's kind of a little bit of a side thing, but I talked to some of the people that were interested in the North Park, and one of the things they said that even having something showing some sort of commitment from the town, like the property, for example, if the town designates that property as definite location or something, that might give them some tools in their chest to go actually raise funds from the community, because I guess people have done this in the past and got burned. So if it's just a suggestion or something to know for council.
Any further discussion over here? No? I'd like to make a motion to amend the motion on the floor to providing direction at the next council meeting to that effect. So
Second.
wait, I think I have to ask her to amend her motion.
I will withdraw my motion if the second is withdrawn, and ask that we have all the information we need and that we have it as an action item for our regular meeting.
Sounds good to me.
I'll withdraw a second.
Okay. So no motion to direct it to be on the regular meeting. All right. Is there a second to that?
I just withdrew.
Oh, I know, but I made a motion to direct staff to put it on the regular meeting.
Do we need to?
No, we don't have to.
Okay.
Everybody wants that, right? All right, sounds good. You just got a little technical on me, so I My brain switched over to regular meeting technical. Okay.
Madam Mayor, this is one of the things that was directly related to VML when they talked about bringing in outside experts to do master plans of such things, because specifically talked about receiving grants by having the master plan. Without the master plan, they don't necessarily take you serious when you're asking for money. So it's directly related to what we learned in the VML.
And one last dig, whatever a consultant does, this could be way better of a picture than JC did. So,
Wasn't that bad? I couldn't tell if it was pavilion or a basketball court.
well, it was both at one point.
It was
Apparently,
both
it was just
possibly.
it melded it together.
Yeah.
One thing I'd like maybe information brought to the next meeting is, what does this do to the North Park? Like, what kind of delay does it cause? Because I don't know how long a master plan takes to create. And so that's something I'd like to know, like when we vote next time.
The timeline, from what I recall, when we were looking at some of the consultants in the past, was it's about a 3 or 4 month long process. And to address your concerns, Mr. Williams, about public input, both of the consultants that I recall talking to do an extensive amount of outreach. They do surveys, they do them online, they can do them via traditional polling, and they actually will come into the community and host several events here in this very room to gauge public support for what the folks up there genuinely want. So I think if, 6 months, I'd feel on the safe side, but don't quote me on that. But again, I think it should happen first, to be quite honest.
And to add on that, specifically, they would be required to hold 2 community engagement efforts, one with the Planning Commission as well as the Parks and Rec Commission. I wrote the RFP, so I did put that in there exclusively to ensure that we get that community engagement to design a park to the standards of the community.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Any other questions for Mr. Duke? Nope. Moving forward.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Just a quick comment. I'm the only one that's sitting here that lives on that north side. So of course, we have Castlewood and we have a beach, and that's where my kids went. We got in the car and we went to the beach and we went to Castlewood and swung on the swings and had a good time. I think Mr. Trivett would probably say you did the same thing, because it was really a fun outing to be able to go down to the beach, especially in the fall and the spring when nothing else was around, and we could go down the boardwalk, and it was a lot of fun. So I'm glad there'll be one up in the north area, because there are a lot of kids in that neighborhood. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna move forward to our legislative agenda discussion.
Great, thank you, Mayor. While Heather gets that pulled up, good afternoon to members of the public, those watching online. Andy Adams Jacobs, Town Manager, and we'll be doing, having a discussion as it relates to our legislative agenda, taking a look back at some of our successes from the past General Assembly session, and taking a look at some of our priorities moving forward. So first, just a reminder of some of our delegation at the federal level: Senators Warner and Senator Kane, as well as Congressman Whitman. Moving on to our state, our Delegate Margaret Ranson and Senator Richard Stewart. And just a brief update and look back at our legislative agenda from 2022. Last year, we introduced our first legislative agenda. I proposed that and drafted that for Town Council consideration and adoption, starting with goal areas as it relates to our strategic plan. First, with infrastructure. Second, resiliency and sustainability, highlighting our James Monroe Trail historical connection, highlighting our town pier replacement, and then a charter amendment to allow the police department to report to the town manager. Now to get to some exciting news from our legislative 2022 updates. Of those 5 items that we worked with our legislators on, we were successful in 3 of them. One being requiring and acquiring more funds related to ARPA from the Department of Environmental Quality, ARPA wastewater state funds in the amount of $5.7 million. We received $5.7 million in a direct state allocation from our legislative advocacy efforts to assist with our water and sewer improvements for the town. That means we'll be working collectively with our Department of Public Works in the coming years to work on additional I&I issues. As you know, we are working on our central drainage area coming up this year, but we are grateful for the state allocation and working with our legislator to help us get that $5.7 million for our locality, which means we won't have to go out and borrow additional debt to pay for our infrastructure upgrades and needs. So we're very excited about that. Second, North Beach Erosion Project. We gave an update on this a couple months ago, but this is a federal project that we've been working on, and we are in phase 3 in scoping with the Baltimore District Army Corps of Engineers, and we will learn more by January if we were awarded for that project. And then third, our charter change, and that's also a state legislative one. So congratulations, Beaver. And looking forward to this year, I think the goal for us, since we were so successful last year, is to build on some of that momentum. The James Monroe Birthplace Trail is still on our list, town pier rehabilitation and replacement. I recently learned from another locality that they were able to acquire about $3 million towards their municipal center in replacement. And we all know that we've been trying to repair or replace our town hall for many, many, many years, I think since 2008. So if we're able to acquire some funding for that, that will help the town. And then continue our efforts to support our efforts related to resiliency for our beaches and shorelines, and then expand efforts in broadband in our region. While broadband is not particularly an issue for our town, it's still a regional-wide issue, so any way that we can be supportive in that effort is something that we would like to continue to do. So in terms of setting a discussion today for council consideration, last year we prioritized our legislative agenda items while we had some flexibility. Council kind of prioritized those items in order of most importance, and then gave our office flexibility to go work with our legislators as appropriate. So at this point, I would like council to provide any discussion on that and feedback so that we can have a final legislative agenda adopted by next session or next meeting. And then we begin to meet with our legislators ahead of this General Assembly session. And that's all I have.
I'm gonna check this side first. Yes? Okay, right back over here. Yes, Dr. Simon. Oh, no?
Did you say this was the first time we've ever done a legislative agenda?
I believe there's been charter amendment requests in the past, but I don't believe there's been a comprehensive legislative agenda back for you all.
One of the sessions that I went to at VML was a meeting with Senator Warner's representative. And a lot of the things that we discussed at VML is that it is absolutely impossible for small towns and even cities to fund some of the major projects that are needed, desperately needed. And I just want to commend you, town manager, for you jumping in as soon as you got here and starting to work at that level. It's just hard to imagine where we would be if we weren't expecting these funds that are coming in for our infrastructure and everything. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I want to commend the council that hired you too. Okay, just to start, maybe some discussion on prioritizing, because that's what you're looking for, right? Direction to prioritizing.
Correct.
On the top of my list of these items that we have already identified, part of the reason, just to explain this was explained at our retreat when we were there, but there are opportunities sometimes at the federal state level where they're looking for places to invest in certain projects. And so the James Monroe Birthplace Trail is in our comprehensive plan, and it's in our long-term planning. It would help heritage tourism and provide recreation, all of those things. It may not be our top item. However, because it is a presidential birthplace, and maybe one of the first things to get money. So you wouldn't necessarily want to nix that off the list when the federal government may be looking for ways to enhance heritage sites. And we might want to benefit from that kind of funding. Am I explaining what okay. So anyway, I just kind of want to say, because for me, resiliency efforts, the rehabilitation of the town pier, and the municipal center funding come before that. So just to start that conversation out. But I don't want to take it off the list because, as we discussed at the retreat, if the feds will pay for it, why not?
I think it's also maybe well aligned with the upcoming celebration that's going to be nationwide about the anniversary of our country, and about the fact that so many of our early representatives and legislators and leaders were in the Northern Neck area, that this area may be a focus. And this would also probably be a multi-jurisdictional between the town and the county, and that sometimes raises it up for more consideration if we're working together with another jurisdiction. So I would support keeping that on, knowing that it would be specific funding that we were going after for it.
Here's a wild, no, go ahead, Ms. Ryan.
Oh, just a question of the pier. Is that the same thing we did last year, requested funds for a excursion pier, or is this just a regular pier replacement?
So I believe there were two different projects last year. One was a grant request for an excursion pier.
Okay.
This is specifically for rehab and expansion of what we currently have.
Okay, thank you.
I think this is a lot more pared down than that other project. When the other one was like 2.5 million or something.
That's what we got.
Why wild idea was, but can we put this on a doodle poll on our website to direct citizens to prioritize them? And bring that feedback back to the next work session? I know that doesn't get to everybody and we still would have the discussion, but I'd like to kind of hear, is that possible? Oh, I don't, whatever the best mechanism is, and I think it should be hosted on our website. That way it's not exclusive to just Facebook, because I hate just designing for a particular platform. That's okay.
Sounds good to me.
All right.
So I have a question about broadband. I mean, we have broadband in the town, everywhere in the town. What would we be going after as far as help with broadband in the region?
That's on there, kind of a holdover from last year, because sometimes other localities will approach us for support. So this is merely if someone were to approach us for a letter of support for a project, whether it's any locality that would be, neighboring us, that we would be able to do that. But that's something that we could strike if you all like.
I did hear a couple of things from other localities at VML. One was that, and I forget which one, because you talk to so many people from all over the state that the places blend together. But they were so excited they were finally getting a competitor broadband. And also, I was talking to DHCD, who is working with, is it Breeze? It's BreezeLine.
BreezeLine we have now, yeah.
BreezeLine in some of their programming, but other state agencies are working with Verizon. And Verizon is a major sponsor in some of the pilot programs that are happening in the state. And Verizon isn't that far away, and I would love to have competition. So anyway,
Competition would be great, absolutely.
I'm just putting that
yeah.
out there as a possible, if we let the broadband thing on there and an opportunity came up to partner to try to entice a competitor in on broadband. that might be-
If Verizon would run FiOS in this area, that would be a huge competition and maybe bring some prices down, because those of us that have BreezeLine have seen those prices go up dramatically.
Madam Mayor, this particular thing was brought up last year when the legislative thing, because I'm pretty sure I mentioned it because of the competition effort to make sure that, we don't necessarily have just Breeze Line in the area. Because other localities that are underserviced are getting broadband in different areas. And my understanding, and I can't remember which meeting it was, but there was discussion talked about once they meet the requirements of that infrastructure effort, then they would start, spreading out to the areas that already currently have broadband and providing that competition so the rates do go down.
Yeah, that would be great. Anyway, was brainstorming from DML how that broadband thing might be a little versatile into.
Another thing that is not on this list, but it's been talked about a lot, both from a health and safety standpoint and an ADA standpoint, are our sidewalks. And that is something that's a big dollar item that would be really difficult to do without some support. And I don't know if the legislative agenda could be broader than just sidewalks, but more ADA ability to have an ADA compliant town.
I'd like to get town manager's perspective on that since she's been so successful with this legislative agenda. Obviously, I think part of it is what you're targeting and how you target it.
Yeah, I think we can go back and take a look to see if there are any programs out there specifically related to sidewalks, but without, and I'll look to Ms. Byer on this, without some concept of the true cost, it's hard to make an ask. So I think we've had the sidewalk study as a part of the CIP, and that maybe if that came back with $1, then that may be something we could pursue more aggressively when we had an actual number. But I think that's something we could put in here to start.
Yeah, couching it under ADA instead of just sidewalks. There's a lot, even if we go through and fix our broken sidewalks, they're still not wide enough to be ADA compliant, right? So something that's under, and there seems to be a lot of emphasis both at the state and federal level on ADA compliance. Have we done an analysis of where we are, how far away we are from being what we should be as a town of our size?
Not to my knowledge.
So I'd like to see something that, I mean, you could couch sidewalks under ADA. It might be more effective than just going after sidewalks.
I think until we have a dollar amount though, I think is that the holdup is more not how to smooth it, but
Yeah.
what are we actually asking for? Are we asking for $1 million?
Yeah, so
for
we're
$2 million?
we're looking for support for resiliency of beaches and shorelines and efforts to expand broadband with no dollar amount on it. So what's wrong with support in bringing us into ADA compliance?
We will wordsmith it and bring it back to you with that, and then hopefully by the next session, be able to have some additional specific numbers as it relates to a specific project. One of the reasons we were successful with the water and sewer is because we've had Dewberry working on our I&I issues, and they were able to quantify what those specific issues were. So it's a little bit easier to say, here's our need, can you help us, versus guessing in some ways. So we can work on that.
The beach and resiliency is also because there are target programs for those things. And the broadband, I think, is more of like letters of support than money. But we could add ADA on there as number 6 and see where it goes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I would have to concur with Karen after sitting through that VML ADA thing. We certainly should have something on there that illustrates ADA compliance throughout the town. And you can couple that with sidewalks, beach mats, or anything for which, I mean, there's so much that we need.
Playgrounds.
Yeah, there's so much. So I would definitely add that to the list.
Do we have a consensus for adding ADA to the legislative agenda?
Sure.
Yeah? Yes. So everybody says, okay, so I'd say hypothetical, but I think we should try as well, that's fine. I do want to make sure that we know this is a legislative agenda though, and not the same thing as our capital capital improvement. I mean, I think we all understand this. All right. And can we get a poll on the website with the ADA part added? Yay. Okay, we're exploring. All right, ready to move to the next thing? The CUP application for service establishment in C1. This is to set the public hearing.
Correct, just a request to set the public hearing. This will be held, a public hearing on this issue will be held, as Mr. Allison explained earlier. It will be held with the Planning Commission on October 18th. So in order to keep this project on the original target that we set, staff, we being staff, set with the applicant, we would ask that town council set this for public hearing on October 19th. It is a condition, it is a use that was actually a little bit tricky to weave into current definitions, but we feel like it's a legitimate service establishment, which is a conditional use in the C1 district. So we are, to cut to the punchline, the staff is recommending approval of the conditional use permit, but of course, statutorily, public hearing is required.
Okay, we have a consensus to set the public hearing? Yep, sounds good.
I just wanted to clarify for the audience too, it's I think they call it massage therapy, not massage parlor.
Yes, it's a massage.
You're making me blush, Mr. Williams. All right. Draft amendment to Town of Colonial Beach Town Code, chapters 1, 6, and 17. Ms. Day, keep with it.
It's same thing. You do have drafts available to you of those edits, proposed edits, and the recommendation is to set the public hearing also for October 19th for ordinance amendments to your town code of ordinances.
Tom, you want to set the public hearing? All right, so everybody in favor of setting the public hearing?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Francine, yes. All right. Any comments about, I think the memo was pretty clear on that one. Thank you. And thank you for providing all the details.
More chapters to come, and more are done already, and they will all be ready soon.
What a huge undertaking to finally tackle. All right, discussion on streaming planning commission meetings. Councilmember Wood.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm been on council for a year now, but as a citizen for all the council meetings, work sessions, and a lot of the plan commission meetings, and I'm probably more involved than your average citizen, but there's things that they discuss that are really impactful for the community. Things that, and people can't always get to a 5:30 p.m. meeting, and it's pretty early. So I was just suggesting that we stream those online like we do the council meetings. I think it would be beneficial to the public. And Madam Mayor, I remember you saying one time that the Plan Commission was the bridge between council and the public. So I just think it would be beneficial to all. The viewers would be tremendous, but a lot of people like myself may go back and look at a topic if they find out that something was discussed, just to see how they talked about it and what happened. So I'd just like to ask that go through the proper channels I've asked before, but it's not really, one council member can't direct anybody to do anything. So I just wanted to urge council to join me in asking that we could get those streamed for the public.
Ms. Faye looks like she wants to say something.
I'll just, and whenever y'all are done discussing, I would like to weigh in with your permission.
Okay, I'll go to Councilmember, I'll tell her first. Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the things that is more and more important is that all of the decisions that are made by elected or appointed officials is readily accessible to the public. And I would argue that any meeting, public meeting, that's held here and we have the equipment should be automatically streamed and automatically uploaded to our YouTube channel.
Yes, I used to do on my own laptop as a planning commissioner. But I set up a video editor and press play because of staff effort though. So I guess that would be my next question on the staff side is technology capability and understanding that, because when I was on the planning commission, we really didn't have that support, that level of support as the planning commission, and that's why I did it.
And that was just gonna be my only comment. Philosophically, I'm not at all opposed, but I just would ask everyone to take note that there are 8 staff members here tonight, including 1 staff member, your clerk, who's dedicated solely to the board. At planning commission meetings, there are 2. And trying to make sure that all materials are provided.
Did you purposely do that
No, I
so
didn't.
that you could show us the technical difficulties?
Well, and I mean, tonight even, we started with that. So, yeah, I just say that again, philosophically, I am 100% in agreement. I hate to overpromise though and underdeliver. I would rather underpromise and overdeliver. But anyway, that would be my only concern, is that exactly what the mayor was just commenting about, which is we have to get everything.
We have an opening on the planning commission right now, right? Do we have, is there an age requirement on the planning commission? I don't remember you have to be 18 now. You do have to be 18?
Yes, you have to be 18. You have to be a resident of the town. One planning commission member may be a member of the governing body, and 1 planning commission member may be an employee.
So the reason why I asked that question or bring that up is because for those of you maybe remember Scott Gass, he's passed now. But he was a good friend of mine, but he also went to school with me. And he had a very strong hobby in AV and tech stuff as a student. And his mother wrote for the paper. And he came and filmed meetings before we had all this equipment, and I don't even know if we had the internet in here. And had his own stream video. So I don't know that another Scott Gass exists since Scott's no longer with us, but just maybe there's an opportunity for student involvement or a student de facto rather than an additional staff person, those kids. My 3-year-old knows how to put YouTube better than I do. Yeah.
One comment from citizens is that the way we do stream our videos, we don't have a camera person. We aren't able to zoom in and see who's talking. The audio is the most important part of it. And I know that the radio station is interested in broadcasting live. And if maybe they have the equipment that's easily turned on for audio broadcast or some way, because you can also upload audio to YouTube. You don't have to have the video. You can just upload the audio to YouTube, and it could be placed on our town hall website, YouTube channel is another alternative. I think citizens would be very happy if they could hear it, even if they couldn't see the distant vision that they're seeing now.
Oh, I was just gonna say, Heather, you guys already voice record, right? So that's something you already do. Wouldn't need a radio station or anybody to do that. And then,
But that's recorded, not broadcasted live.
right. And also, I mean, I'd like to see the video part, but I mean, if it's too much trouble, it's too much trouble. Planning commission especially, because that's, to me, is just as important as the council. But at least slides available and the audio, I mean, would be a compromise for me.
Okay, so I'm hearing direction. I just want to make sure I don't forget about you guys over here. If you have.
Silence out of the operation.
Okay, all right. Just keep checking on you.
Well, I personally think that citizens should enjoy the 3+, 4+ hours that we set through some of those planning commission meetings to, and, you know, I would love to have everybody watch all that with us.
I think there is, I don't think anybody doesn't want this to happen. I think it's more of a matter of trying to get the pieces together. So can we give it a Class A effort? And I will reach out to the school also. I'm gonna put that on my to-do list and see if there's a student in an AV or one of those, or, you know, in the yearbook is generally where you find the kids that are most, how there's already, you know.
Is it something that I could be teach since I'm already there? I mean, I know I'm volunteering for something here, but I'm already there.
Absolutely.
I can
Oh.
show me how to push a button.
Town manager says yes.
All right, we'll make it work.
All right, Kenny says he's gonna give it an A+ volunteer effort. Tom?
What's the question?
That about videoing the planning commission meeting, streaming the planning commissions, Mr. Allison has volunteered his, best shot at it. Very good.
And you've got parking.
By November, Tom, calm down. By November. Yes. Okay, is that we'll try that next step. Sound good?
I mean, I'd like to get more of a firm commitment, but you know, it's a step in the right direction. And if it, I mean, and something we can try out and see how it works out. I just like to make it available for the public, that's all.
I love the idea of Mr. Allison trying to do it first and then let us know whether or not, how that works out. All right.
Parks and Rec too.
Oh, gosh, Karen.
Bobby already does Parks and Rec for us when we do our meetings for the YouTube.
If they have.
I can promise you, Mr. Allison, it's pretty easy. And if I can figure it out, then you should be fine. Heather will show you which plugs to plug in and you'll be good to go.
Okay. All right, moving forward. We do have a closed meeting tonight. You guys, you'll sub, Mr. Williams will sub. Okay, our closed meeting, I move the town council of the town of Colonial Beach, Virginia convene in closed meeting for the following purpose and to discuss the following subjects, all of which are exempt by Virginia law from public meeting requirements as indicated. Pursuant to Virginia Code 2.2-3711A7, consultation with legal counsel pertaining to pending litigation, where such consultation open meeting would adversely affect the litigation posture of the public body in the pending court cases in Westmoreland County Circuit Court. Is there a motion? Is there a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, take a bathroom break and Special closed meeting were convened, heard, were heard, discussed, or considered in the meeting by council. I know, I should give it to you to read. Are you have a motion for that?
So moved.
A second, and then this is a certification.
I so certify.
I so certify.
I so certified.
I so certify.
I so certified. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
So moved, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Who's gonna be?
Adjourned, 8:05 PM. 25 minutes earlier than I had thought. I am,
Okay, I will.
yeah.